traders from each and every part of the world that you're joining this series of the daily morning market call from. My name is Kefa Eric, one of the market analysts here at HFM. HFM linking you to the global market to access various financial assets. Now, today being on the 10th day of the 4th month of 2025, uniquely, we are still enjoying the wave of the Donald Trump's tariffs. We have time without numbers on this series. Defined tariffs as taxes imposed on imports by one country on another, and in this case, John Trump is imposing tariffs on countries that his administration think they have been having bad business trade deals. Now, yesterday, something uniquely happened. Donald Trump administration put up a 90-day extension or a 90-day pause to attempt to negotiate with non-retaliating countries. What do I mean by that? Countries which have not attempted to put or add more tariff on the United States as a retaliation, as a revenge perhaps, for what the administration of Donald Trump did, is opening a book for talks with them. Remember, these are up from 50 to 70 countries, quite a number. This is having investors and traders optimistic. How is that? We'll go to the charts and see how. But before we dive in, I would like to bring it to your attention that this is going to be a pre-recorded YouTube video, to mean that you could access this YouTube video at your own free time at our YouTube channel at HFM Kenya. Kindly like, subscribe, and click on the notification button. Also share to improve on our algorithms, and it is our commitment to you that we will improve education to bridge the gaps there is in the financial markets in this regard. Let's move to the charts to see the interplay of that. Gold is bullish, like we called it out on this area of interest at 2954.52, and we said these uncertainties are causing so much tension and fears, and gold will likely print out and take out the high at 3168.90, and this is likely going to happen as long as we do not have a clear outline on all countries' response to the United States tariffs. One case study is China. China is also threatened to add more tariffs to the United States. Now, China has allies or friends which will possibly also go through that route. And this is causing tension and fears, which is having investors consider putting their money in something more safe, which is gold. However, for stock traders, beginning with US 30 indices, group of stocks, we had a quite huge recovery yesterday where US 30 printed positive, because this 90-day extension or pause is giving optimism, is giving investors and traders a breath of fresh air, which is increasing the demand of this particular asset. A likely scenario that we are all going also to see in European stocks in regards to the German 40 companies in Germany, you might also call it DAX 40, printing a high, breaking areas of interest, quite abnormal moves with huge candles printing to take up historical volatility that we have not experienced, at least in the recent past, before Donald Trump inauguration. Now we see prices reacting from this key area of interest. This is what we particularly like to see, and monitoring the news. This is going to likely be the scenario as print prints to the upside, and this will still be considered as risk on approach both for US 30 and German 40, because, well, financial markets reacting from headlines, we and traders and investors would not consider that quite reliable. Would want something more concrete to build a story that we could follow up and tell possible market direction. S&P 500 is also recovered showing the optimism in the stocks around the world. So we see this 90-day pause allowing investors in every part of the world to attempt reconsidering their optimism in individual stocks and group of stocks. If you go to individual stocks, we see that Apple also had a recovery, is actually recovering as we speak. A stock selling at $273.33, and price is attempting to print on the upside. Optimism on individual and group of stocks. Perhaps we are likely to see the same with Tesla. That was Apple. Price attempting to print on the upside, filling on gaps. This is Apple. The previous one was Tesla. But what the context in definition is the optimism we see returning to the financial markets. Oil also attempting to print to the upside. Really risk on approach on this one. We would want to have much more calmness, much more precision while building a narrative to get into a trade, in regardless of the trading plan you have or trading strategy. Fundamental analysis, that is economic and geopolitical forces, move the market regardless. For the sake of one of our loyal follower of the daily money market call, that is you know yourself, my lady there. So JPY, in regards to what is happening in the financial markets, somebody would argue this is not affected directly by the United States dollar, but it is, remember that the United States dollar is a dominant currency. So for GJ, we see also an attempt to recover, the Great British Pound recovering from the somewhat consolidation that we have been having for weeks, right? Unless I go to a lower time frame for the traders and scalpers to get much more clear market direction. But you see the market has been making equal highs and equal lows, and the usual behavior of GJ is to break with wicks and attempt to remain within the range until we have clear fundamental basis for market direction. But as it is right now, price is attempting to print on the upside, nothing concrete. If I extend this area of interest, we see it is attempting to it has broken out, broken above, retesting, and price is attempting to break on the upside. Perhaps you could go to a much more lower time frame to see, observe the candlestick language on that area of interest. Risk on approach also. The reason for this could be considered a risky trade is because this impulsive candle or marabuzu, which is forming a retest on the 4-hour time frame, was caused by a number of reasons. One of them, of course, being yesterday's Donald Trump administration announcement of the 90-day pause, and secondly, the great British Pound, beg your pardon, that was the United States Federal Open Market Committee interest rate decision, which pronouncement yesterday, without printing data, just a follow-up. We see the Central Bank of the United States a little bit optimistic. Now, this in relation to the Great British Pound maybe have been considered to be optimism. Remember, these countries are allies. These countries, as much as they might attempt to revisit their trade pacts, they have very close relations. So on this, would wait for a much more clear market direction, and I'm sure that will be the case if I go to an even much more lower time frame. Right. Here's a good one. We would wait for the highs to be taken out for us to consider getting in for the buys to push on the narrative of the change in trend from a downtrend to an uptrend brought about by the optimistic news that has been induced in the financial market and ride along that. Before that, we'll just sit back and wait a little bit much more patiently. If this is your first time to interact with the financial markets, attempt to visit hfm.com, attempt to register for an account, fill in your details, and you will have our experts get in touch with you to help you through the process until you get to the investment stage. And as a disclaimer, this is not by any chance financial advice. This is purely meant for educational purposes. Kindly do your due diligence, and until tomorrow, the same place, the same time, to do things the same way that has proven consistently profitable. God bless and take care.